up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I'm so excited you are here. You guys know I love being on here with you. We are here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And the way I do that is I go around this amazing planet of ours and I find the best humans on it. Then I bring them on here to share all of their wisdom to help you expand the way you think. And so today I definitely found a gem for you guys. I know you're going to be excited. Her name is Debby, and she's the author of books that are about following your heart and know that God loves you and is supporting you. So we're going to talk about that. She has a program called the Dream Pollination Project. She's a certified life, meditation, and energy healing coach. And her practice is centered on faith in God. And she is the expert, I love this, in helping you replant, nurture, and bring your dreams into full bloom. Hello. I told you I had a good one today. So Debby, welcome. Welcome to Straight Talk. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you? I love your energy. You got
Oh,
me all
thanks.
pumped for the day. I'm excited. Thank you.
It's my ADHD, Debby. It's my ADHD. I'm so glad
I
you're
love
here.
it.
Thank
It's
you.
your
So
superpower.
I think it is. I used to always think as I was growing up that, it was a distraction, you know what I'm saying? And now it's like that's like totally my superpower. I believe that. That's
That's
so cool. So Debby, the way I like to start the show is with that little question. Who are you? Right?
Who are
That's an
you?
easy one. That's an easy one. Who
Well,
are you?
some people just call me Debby Krusz, but my friends call me Deborella K. Rockin' Cruz. So, there
Oh,
you
oh,
go.
that's awesome.
But I'm just like everybody else, I grew up in a great neighborhood. I have a wonderful family. I followed all the rules. I went to school, I went to college, and I thought that my dreams were what I was told. Get a really good job, go into the city, you'll find a husband, you'll get married, and you'll be great. Or, oh, you don't need a man. Oh, go and get a job and just keep climbing up the corporate ladder. And
Yeah, yeah.
so there was not enough cute boys at the first job. No, I'm just kidding.
Trying to
There,
get two for one, right? Get
was
married
like,
and have the
look at
corporate
the
career.
inventory here.
That's funny.
No, there were plenty. I will say that. I started out as an account executive, and it was so much fun when my first job out of college, because we started off as a big group. I think there were like 20 of us, and
Hmm,
we're all friends still today.
that's good.
And yeah, and it was fun. It was exciting. It was financial printing. So, to make a long story short, it's very hard to explain kind of a job. But once you file something with the Securities and Exchange Commission, it's usually right after the bell rings, and then
Okay.
you have to print it for the public, and printing was all manual. Then there's no digital. It wasn't sending an email and a PDF. So we had people on planes going down to Washington D.C. to get stamped. And it was a 24/7 job. It was pretty crazy. And we went through a lot while I was there. I was there for a really long time, and I just didn't see my career there.
Mm,
I
mm,
learned a little bit of everything, and I just didn't feel like I liked the job. I don't know that I ever really liked the job. I just liked the environment.
mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, no, 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 there's a better job for you. So, I just kept chasing for what that better is.
Yeah,
And, it was like,
yeah.
oh, this is nice, but I don't, this isn't really what I like. This isn't what I like. And I had jobs that I had fun at, and, worked with really great people, but I was never felt fulfilled. And I just kept being told or telling myself at that point that it was more money, it was better title, and those things were going to give me happiness. But all I saw was a whole lot of time flew by. My friends were all getting married, had families. I was in dead end relationships. I didn't have a good relationship with my family. I was always working. I was always on the road. I would wake up and be like, I'm not even sure what town I'm in. I don't remember. And I
Wow.
was like, this is miserable.
Yeah.
And I went to the highest point that I at an executive level, and I was like, has to be the answer. And it was the worst. It was like all the other stuff that I didn't like felt like I'd rather do that than this.
Right.
And I was like, it just inside of me, I thought that I was going to die. I felt like
Mm,
I looked in the mirror. I didn't know who I was. I didn't like who I was. I was angry and miserable all the time. And I'm like, my insides are going to eat me.
right.
And this is miserable. And I was just prayed, God, you have to tell me what to do here because
Mhm, mhm.
I apparently have not been listening to you. And he just spoke to me a while later and said, I want you to start writing and just leave this job and I'll take care of the rest. And as wild and crazy as it sounded a lot better than letting something inside of me eat me and not
Mhm,
be here
mhm.
anymore. So I left. I listened and I left and I wrote 3 books in 9 months. And they were all about following your heart and knowing that you're loved and protected. I didn't go out seeking out to write books that were all about that and being so meaningful. I sought out in my head what God told me was, I
Right.
want to write the best lifetime movie of the week. I
Right,
wanted to
right.
write those. My aunt was a big Lifetime movie woman, so it was
I
like
used to love it too.
4 o'clock. Let's go watch Lifetime
Right.
movie.
Right.
And I thought that I was like, these are, I could do this. Like I could write these. And they are a little of that level of, there's romance in it and it's crazy. And then, it all comes together, but it doesn't always have a happy ending. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, wrote them
I
following my heart. Yeah.
No, I was just thinking, like, as you're talking, because there has been so many of those moments in my life as well, right? As somebody who believes in God very strongly, and I have a great relationship with God, and I've had definite moments that I can tell you about where I know that I know that I know that I know that it's Him, right? So tell me about, how did you cultivate that relationship? Because, I know that through it didn't just happen because one day you were frustrated with work and said, "Okay, God," you know what I mean? So what was that relationship like? How did you cultivate that?
Well, I always felt that I had a strong relationship with God, and I didn't understand how I was so young and I knew things that were like at an adult level. I had an adult
Mhm,
voice in my
mhm.
head. And I would remember things when I was really, really young and talk to my parents about me coming here. Like I was there at my birth. Like I remember being born and I told my parents every detail of where everybody was standing, what everybody was wearing. And they're like, oh, you saw pictures. And I'm like, no, I don't, I'm too,
Right,
yeah. And so there was those things where there were angels talking to me, there was God talking to me. And I just remember coming from a previous life and I remember fighting and being like, yeah, no, I didn't sign up for this. And it felt like there was this adult voice in my head with like a martini and a cigarette, like, you signed up for this, lady. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. It was like, well, you're here. It'll be fine. It'll be great. You'll love it. It'll be great. And I'm like, oh,
right, right,
I'm doing
right.
this all over again.
That is so funny.
So yeah, I always had a relationship with God, but there was distinct moments where God was loud and spoke to me and like it shook me and I didn't listen because I didn't trust it. And when I was in deep in the bad situation because I didn't listen to God to get out, and it was this one in particular was a bad relationship. It was like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? And I was like,
Right,
that was really God a few months ago that said, just get out, like get out of this relationship. It's not going to go in a good place.
right,
And it really went to a hard place. And I was like, I am never going to ignore that voice again.
right.
I have to listen. And I would just keep asking for that voice to come to me. And when it came to me, it was, I promised you, God, I would not ignore you again.
Mhm.
And I'm doing it. I may not know exactly what that means. And I feel ridiculous, but I'm trust you. I'm going to
Yeah,
put my trust in you.
yeah.
Yeah.
That speaks so. That speaks so much to my heart, and it that speaks volumes. I'm sure that people who are listening are just thinking, "Oh my gosh, I've definitely have felt that prompting. I've definitely felt that that like strong feeling that overtakes you, where you know you're supposed to do this thing, but your fear gets in the way, right? Because Debbie, let's be real, right? When we climb the corporate ladder, right, and we're up there, whatever up there means, right? And you have this position because with the position comes a lot of responsibility, and yes, you get more income as well. And a lot of times with the more income also come more debt and more other things. And so it's hard. It is very hard to just say, I don't feel like doing the corporate ladder anymore. I'm going to go right. So for those people who are listening, because you know a large part of my audience are business people, right? So they're people or leaders, they're just leaders or entrepreneurs, and a lot of people are transitioning right now, as you know, in their life. They're like, do I really want to do this?
Mhm.
I immediately think about my client, because there was a client of mine who was a C-suite in her corporation, and we were talking about some things that she was struggling with. And one of the things she said right off the bat was, I just want to be home with my kids. I don't want to do this shit anymore. Like that just came out, right? And she was
Yeah.
almost even afraid to say, like, oh, you know. And I said to her, okay. And she was like, yeah, I just want to be home with my kids. But I said, well, what does that feel like? She goes, what is that? What does that feel? She never thought of that, right? And so what was that moment for you? Like, how did you actually, I know that you said you felt God telling you this is it, you got to leave, but there's a something that happens in between the actually
Yes.
God saying it and actually doing it, right? So
Yeah.
I want to know about that space right there. What was that?
Well, the space is the dead space of, you come home and you're miserable. And
Mm-hmm.
now I was, my last job was in Brooklyn, and I live nowhere close to Brooklyn. So the travel in for 2 hours and the travel out 2 hours every day, if you've ever been in New York
Oh
City
man.
traffic, like, is
Yeah. Oh yeah.
miserable. That was miserable. The panic attacks that I had before that job, it just, when they become so bad that you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
I am very spiritually connected, and I do get lots of signs and symbols, and I do. Most people would call them ghosts or spirit. I do see them too, and before I left, I was at a remote part of the building because we were revamping the office that I was in, and there was this long hallway with windows on one side of the hallway, and I started to notice that as I was walking, I saw a shadow of a man in a trench coat and glasses and a hat, and I was sort of like, oh, maybe just it's the shadows on my reflection. And then I noticed as I passed by, it was still there, and it was every day. And I was like, there's something going on. So I started to talk to this spirit, and I found out that this person died at this job, not like somebody did harm to this person, but this
Mm-hmm.
person died at this job. And it was sort of the same reasons that I was talking about, of like, I killed myself to get here, and I killed myself to be here, and I died inside. Like, I died.
Mm,
And I was asking people around me, I'm like, you've worked here a long time. Did somebody die here? And they're like, so they told me that, at the first they're like, no, and then all of a sudden somebody came forward and they're like, yeah, there's something happened, and apparently this person took his life because the job was too stressful.
right, right.
And I was already scared. I was like, I feel like something like I'd be pushed to not. I don't think I would ever do that because it's just not my nature. But I felt like I was going to have a heart attack, or like I was going to get in
Yeah,
a car accident,
yeah.
or like it
You didn't
was
feel like
those.
you.
I didn't feel
Yeah.
like me. But what I see now, and I think it's important to state, is that what was really happening to me is I am spiritually connected. There was a piece of me that died. It was the piece of me that didn't belong to me anymore.
Mhm, mhm,
And that
mhm.
was that piece that was terrified of dying because I was going to leave it behind. And when I said I'm leaving this job and I'm leaving all of that behind me, all
Mhm.
of not, the years and years of jobs, not just that last job. I'm not picking on that
Right.
last job at all. It, all of that had to die, all of
Mhm,
that
mhm.
negativity, all the people. And I was going home to nobody because I felt like I was working 24/7. I
Right.
didn't take the time to meet the right person. Um, and I didn't have friends that were close, I was close with anymore. I didn't know my family anymore. And I was like, I'm alone and you're like in your early 40s, you're like, I'm so old. You're like, oh, you haven't even got there yet.
Yeah, 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 right?
You wouldn't
It's
even
so
know.
true.
You're good. You're good. But
I
you
wish.
tell yourself, all my dreams are done. My life is ruined. This is it. Forget
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
you pile it on. And once you make that choice of, I choose me, I choose what
Mm,
God
mm,
gave
mm.
me, I choose what God brought me here to be. And the dollar signs made me so miserable. It didn't matter. I didn't love it. It just made me further, it took me further away from everybody
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. And I
That's
was able to turn it around.
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So, because I'm really, first of all, I'm very proud of you because, to boldly, that is a bold thing to do. I know that a lot of people right now, the great resignation, blah, blah, blah. That's not an easy thing. People are not just doing it because it's the easy thing to do. Most of us, especially if we've been in a career or following and chasing a career for a long time, not easy, right? But you did it. So then you you went and you wrote your books and you have your novels out, but you're also like doing some coaching stuff too, right? Because you're a certified life coach, you're doing meditation and energy work and all that kind of stuff. So I want to talk about that. So how did you transition into doing this kind of work? And any regrets? Are there any regrets of leaving what you were doing or anything like that?
No, I mean, it's actually just totally unfolded in such a beautiful way. Of, I just sat here and said throw it all away, but you don't throw your skills away. I mean, you're not
Right,
going to throw your skills away. And I always feel like, you have those moments where you feel like you failed because you walked away, but you
right,
didn't. And I took that time to say, no, celebrate the things that you did good. And I looked through all the moments that I really loved and enjoyed, and the progress that I made and achievements that I had made and awards and all these things that I had accomplished. To me, that, I mean, they still don't, you know keep me warm at night. But
right,
at the same time, I did that. I did
right,
all of that already.
right.
So it's a different phase of my life. And now I can take all the good work that I did of working with employees, of being able to use my skill set of, I do have a clairvoyance and I could see all the beauty and goodness in you. And I don't want to fire you. I don't want to see these people on the list of who's this
Yeah,
next to go. I want to rehab these people. So I ran a lot of programs at all, the last few jobs that I was at, of running programs to make people the best version of themselves. And it's not a path of you have to follow ABC. It's, what is it that you're good at?
yeah,
Let's move people to where they're supposed to be and what's right for them, and let's all flourish together. And you're
right.
watching profitability go up. You're watching employees' morale go up. Nobody's calling out sick, and everybody's happy, and just building that environment. So I learned to take that, and I'm like, I'm going to build on that. And now that I'm on my own, I could do more with that. I
Yeah,
could bring in my spirituality with that. I can bring in what I know of meditation and energy healing. And it's not like that's how the practice is going to go. It's knowing how to utilize it for you. you um, for understanding how to change the energy in the room, how to change the energy at your job that you're miserable at, how to meditate in those moments when you're having an anxiety attack because you don't want to be there.
that's
And
good.
it's important to
Yeah,
just know you are always in control of your life and your future, and God is guiding the way. There's just simple tools that can get you through those hard moments.
yeah,
And I have
yeah.
a client that she's like, I love my job, I love everything about it, but I'm at a place where I just snap at a, you know, someone looks at me and I snap at them, and I hate that of myself. And it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of things that you can do to get through that. You're obviously fine with your job, but maybe you're complacent with the job and there's more
Yeah.
that you need. But learning how to condition the situation before it happens, like taking your
Yeah.
notes at the end of the day, getting yourself ready at the beginning of the day, how to breathe through a situation before you react through a situation. And those are things that help you see clearer and see like all those roadblocks that you keep putting in the way. If you can get through
Mhm.
the day of these hard situations, then you could take it to the next level of thinking a little bigger and thinking a little bigger. And
Mhm.
those
Mhm.
big problems of the finances, the relationships, I want to be in a better career. I need to go back to school. I just need to get out of here and go home and be with my kids. You know,
Right.
you
Right.
have to be the best version of yourself, and you have to be able to handle where you are today to get to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Keep
I
bringing
agree.
tomorrow. If you keep bringing yesterday with you, you're always stuck in the day before, not getting into the next day, and that's how you get
Yeah.
stuck in your rut. So it's learning
It's
how to get
true.
out of that cycle.
That is so true. I mean, a lot of what you said there is just it's spot on, right? So tell me about like when you're okay, so let's say somebody's listening right now and they're really struggling with this, right? They're really struggling with maybe being short with people, not really knowing what they want to do. Maybe they want to change the energy in the room, things like that. Like, what do you take your clients through? Like, let's just even not do the whole process if you don't want to, but what's the first things that you try to tackle with people when it comes to wanting to work with you as a client?
Well, the first, I always start with career.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's I'm miserable. I can't identify what I'm miserable at. So you want to pick
Right.
on your spouse, you want to pick on your kids. And then the next thing is going to be, I hate my job. Oh, okay. Well, I hate my job is the easy one. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Because your kids are, I'm sure, are perfect and your spouse is the greatest thing in the whole world. Right. So
Of course. Of course.
your
Yes.
job, I mean, job
Yeah.
sucks. So the job is the easy, neutral avenue. And that's
Yeah.
usually where I can, when people are like, I want to get in, I can't get in, ego is always what's in the way, right?
Mm.
And we all have it. We all have that. We also get stuck in the repetitive story in our head of, I can't because fill in the blank. I can't leave
Yeah.
my job because I have a kid going to school. Oh, I can't go back to school because I don't have the money. I can't do this. There's an I can't. But I want you to fix me. Oh, okay. Here's a set of band aids. You're on your
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
so
And I
it's
mean, that's a good point. That's a really valid point, Debbie, because I think, like I said, a lot of the people who are listening to my show, and I have new listeners all the time, which is thank you so guys so much for listening. But what Debbie's saying is a real thing, right? When you hire somebody like Debbie, who's a certified coach, she does meditation, energy healing, all of that great stuff, you have to also do the work, right? But Debbie cannot heal you. I cannot heal you. We can't heal you, but we can guide you, right? We can totally guide them. And I think that, that sounds to me like that's what you're doing with your clients. You're guiding them to the best version of themselves, right?
yeah.
Whatever
You
that
know,
version is for them.
Right. It's not, there's not one size fits all of how
Right.
to help somebody. So I don't have this, oh, if you don't fit on, if you miss step 5 on my sheet, like where I can't do this.
Right.
It's I understand what it
Right.
looks like. I understand what it looks like to sit in your seat. And I've gone through a whole gamut of solutions. And you know what? Maybe I don't have this solution, but as long as we can get to a place where we hit a nerve, we know we hit a nerve and we want to
Hmm.
fix it,
Hmm.
I that's where I know what to do with. And
Right.
I could take that and we can walk through what that cloud of dust looks like for you, because that's fear and anxiety. That's all it is. And we can work through it. And there are so many tools for every situation. And if I don't know it, I will find it.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm just here to be the person to, it is a meditation. It is the way of, okay, I'm here and I'm meditating you through what you need to do, but I'm really just sitting here having a conversation with you.
Right.
And I just know how to jog the right questions to get you
Right.
to see the right answers and
Mm-hmm.
to get through some simple moments.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that, I always say this, and I know people who listen to my podcast hear me say this all the time, but I always feel like every person needs a coach. Like every person needs a coach because you need a separate set of eyes. You need a separate set of eyes to see where maybe you don't have a peripheral, where you're not really seeing on that side, right? So I think what you're saying is super valid. And you're right, because I think, I know that we lots of time already have the answer within us, right? And if not, we're seeking that knowledge. So I believe that when you have those questions, those probing questions, and as a certified life coach, because I am too, we're taught that, right? You're trained, you're taught, you do your hours, you know how to do that. Sometimes I do that to myself, Debbie. I don't know if you do it to you, but I do it to me, right? When I'm stuck in something, I'm like, okay, let's walk through that,
Yeah.
but I have coaches in my life too, because I just feel like everybody needs one. You need that person. So Debbie, before we wrap up, I do want you to let us know like about your books a little bit, like where we can find them, how people who are listening to you right now and saying, wow, I totally connect with someone who is certified in meditation and energy healing, like all that great stuff, right? Because there are particular people that really love that, right? And I have those on my audience because I have people who are I believe in God. I'm very much about God. I also do believe in your atmosphere and your energy in the space in the room. I do, because I've seen it affect me, right? And I know you have too, Debbie, right? Like when you walk into a place and it's not right, you feel it immediately. Nobody's even said anything, you feel it, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, how people can get your books and where can they support you, how they can work with you, all that great stuff.
Yes, I try to keep it as simple as possible. So you can also reach out to me anytime on my website, and that's DebbyKrusz.com. I
Okay.
try to keep my social media the same. So it's at Debby Krusz, again, DebbyKrusz. And that's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. So,
Oh my gosh,
woo, I need a
omnipresent,
breath.
omnipresent.
And I'm working on uploading my YouTube page, so it's out there. But yeah, you can find me on any of those platforms. I would love to offer to all your listeners a free download of Soul Meets Body, which is my last
Oh,
novel
that's
that's out
nice.
there. You can get all of them. You can find the links on my social media as well as on my website and Amazon.com.
That's wonderful. Hey guys, you heard that? You better go get that book. You better go get that book. Oh, Deb, this was really, really fun. I really thank you so much for coming here and just, sharing this space with me and just being honest and authentic and true to who you are. And I love talking to people like that because I know that because I'm a straight talker, my audience is a straight talker. So when people can just be authentically who they are, you know what I'm saying? Like that to me is what I mean when I say straight talking, right? We're just being real,
Yeah.
right? So thank you so much for spending this time with me. Honestly, thank you so much.
Well, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, I'm going to make sure to link all of Debbie's information below so you don't miss it. Okay, so don't forget to go on to her website. Everything lives there. That way you can follow her on all of her media handles and get that book. You better not sleep on that. Go get that book. And also, I'm sure, Debbie, that you have your information on there for anybody who wants to work with you, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Perfect.
I'll send that
Perfect.
to you, and you can also just click on my website and click on the top right corner
All
to
right.
have a meeting with me. Excuse me.
Well, hey, listen, Debbie's everywhere. You heard her. She's on Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok, and she's everywhere, guys. So you guys can find her. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us. I love you guys so much. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Until next time.